Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jen Trepic, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. This week, we're talking about giving. So if you're listening the day this goes live, Thanksgiving is next week. And in the US, Thanksgiving is next week. And so obviously, I think the idea of gratitude and giving is on my mind. And I know quite a few people who volunteer on this holiday that, maybe it's at a soup kitchen or a food pantry. And, there are so many who give in a variety of ways at this time of year too. So I mentioned this actually in another episode, but it was in the middle of a big episode. And I thought that this idea of giving and how it translates into health deserved a bit of a spotlight. So that episode was Willpower Won't Power. And in there, I talked about how generosity, giving, is one way to replenish our willpower. And essentially the way it works is that when we are short on willpower, when we are operating from the part of our brain that's primitive, right? The primary goal is safety. Safety comes from not taking risks, from maintaining the status quo, from being selfish, right? The number one priority is our own personal safety, survival. And so giving requires that we think about others. And in so doing, it sends a biochemical signal to the brain that it is safe. Because if we are in a place of being able to think about others, then we must be okay. So this might look like even complimenting someone. It might look like holding the door for someone as you walk in or out of somewhere, letting that person merge into your lane in traffic, or buy coffee for the person behind you in line. All of these small acts can actually improve our willpower because they are ways of giving. They're sending signals of safety. And this can also help manage our stress response. So giving may also support healthy blood pressure because oxytocin is released when we give. Oxytocin can dilate or widen our blood vessels. And then there was actually some research from doctors at Columbia that said giving can even support our immune system. And I wonder too if that's connected to the stress response. But then in our episode on longevity, we have a couple episodes on longevity. So one was the longevity equation and the other was about blue zones. And we talked about in those a sense of purpose. So generosity and giving can provide that sense of purpose and therefore improve both our physical and our psychological and even spiritual health. Like it is a dramatic contributor to longevity. And there was actually an interesting study from UC Berkeley that looked at elderly people who volunteered regularly. And they found that the people who volunteered were 44% less likely to die over a 5-year period. Like 44% is a lot. Like that's not small. And if you've read the book, How to Be Happy by Dr. Laurie Santos, you might recall this. Anyway, her research is all about how to be happier. And one of those things is getting out of self. So this can even happen when we sit down with someone and have a real conversation, not a superficial topic conversation, but a real conversation. Like maybe you ask about their week. When we give our ear, when we give our time, our hearts, it really improves our health, it improves our happiness, and it is connected to all of this. So I practice this sometimes with cab drivers. So I will sit in a cab and make conversation with the driver. But maybe it starts out about the weather, but how could you ask a question? I'll often ask them about their feelings about, or how they've seen rideshare apps change what it's like to be a cab driver. Or there was one where we ended up in a whole long conversation about books, but we even talked about if driving a cab now at that time of day was the same as it was before the pandemic, all of these things. So anyway, the amazing thing is that like when we have these conversations beyond the superficial, it almost makes us feel like we are giving our time. And that makes us feel like we are more time affluent, like we have more time. Feeling like we have more time contributes to happiness. So giving time away, right? Maybe that means going to a friend's and helping them do something. It's sending a subconscious signal that you must have more time or that you have enough time because you were able to give some of it. And if you remember our episodes on psychedelics, they're a tool for getting out of self. And that's really what's facilitated by the psychedelics. And that may be a key factor in how it's contributing to the improved mood and the improved mental state. So essentially, getting out of self, which can happen from giving, is supporting our health in a whole variety of ways too. And then I think about it on an energetic level. Giving brings more to us. So some people say it as like the law of attraction. It's actually more than that. So Nandar, who is my meditation coach, who's been on a couple episodes with us, you can go back. September of 2019 was my first interview with her. And she explains it, not in that episode, but she explains it in general as the mirror principle, that essentially the world we experience is a reflection of ourselves. So giving more, being generous, will bring more to us. Now, wrapping this up, I just want to add, it is incredible to be kind. It is dangerous to be kind only to others. So as you are thinking about giving this holiday season and giving to improve our health, remember to put yourself on the list, right? How can you also give to yourself in a way that's nourishing and health supporting too? So Christine, I know this topic is right up your alley. What do you think? Anything you want to add?
Just the idea that knowing that you are that kind of person who has this extra, that either time or generosity, it does come back at you. But I think it also comes back at you in the form of exactly the love and the confidence that some of us are lacking. Like some of us are very hard on ourselves and perfectionists, and we never do enough. And there is something about giving to others, either volunteering or knowing that you've made someone, even a relative, even that you've made someone else's life better, that slowly starts to chip away at the negativity that we put on ourselves. And it's a way of almost falling in love with ourselves and building that confidence to then go and do other things. But it came out of that interchange.
Absolutely. I think the moral of this story is giving improves every aspect of our health. Everything. Well, as always, everybody, I'm your health coach, Jen Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jen Trepeck, JenNTrepeck. Website is asaladwithasideoffries.com. Pick your platform, send a message. I truly love hearing from you. Send your takeaways, your ideas, your questions. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Christine, thank you again for being here. And of course, everybody, if you are not already, join our membership program by going to glow.fm/saladwithasideoffries. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the kale and sweet potato hash that you can make with your Thanksgiving leftovers. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.